There is nothing, and I mean nothing, more physically sickening than checking your lush tray of radish microgreens and seeing that. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You walk into your grow room, coffee in hand, expecting to see that vibrant, profitable canopy of green. You're ready to feel like a successful grower. But instead, you see it, that grey, cobweb-like fuzz crawling across the soil. It looks like a disease. It smells like a damp, forgotten basement. Your stomach drops. It's a visceral reaction. It's not just disgust, it's panic. Because let's be real for a second. That tray isn't just a plastic container with dirt in it. That tray is an asset. You spent money on those seeds. You spent money on the soil. But more importantly, you spent 5 days of your life babying that thing. You checked the humidity, you adjusted the lights, you watered it with care. And now, it looks like a total liability. You do the math in your head instantly. That's $20 of revenue gone. Poof, vanished into thin air because of some microscopic spore you didn't even see coming. It's the feeling that you failed nature, or that nature rejected you. You feel like an amateur. You reach for the trash can. You're about to dump the whole thing. You're about to write it off as a loss, clean the tray, and start over, just hoping it doesn't happen again. Stop. Put the trash can down. Step away from the garbage. Do not dump that tray. Listen to me very carefully. That tray is not dead. It is under attack. And right now, you are the only line of defense it has. You are not a passive observer here. You are the operator. In the next 72 hours, I'm not just going to give you a gardening tip. I'm going to walk you through a rescue operation. I'm going to show you how a $1 bottle from your medicine cabinet, something you probably already have sitting next to your toothpaste, can bring this tray back from the dead. We are going to execute a protocol that turns that grey, fuzzy disaster back into a crisp, cash-flowing harvest. Now, the commercial growers, the guys with the big warehouses and the shiny logos, they don't want you to know this. They want you to think this is complicated. They want you to go out and buy their $50 fungicides. They want you to be dependent on their chemical supply chain. They want you to think that saving a crop requires a degree in agriculture and a credit card. They are lying to you. I'm going to show you the simple, brutal chemistry they don't want you to know. We are going to save your money, we are going to save your time, and we are going to save your confidence. But before we start, I need to be brutally honest with you. If you are the type of person who gives up, the second things get hard. If you see a little bit of adversity, and your first instinct is to quit and start over, because it's easier, then this video isn't for you. You can click away right now. Go ahead, throw your money in the trash, accept the loss, be a hobbyist who dabbles until it gets tough. But if you want to be the person who wins when everyone else quits, if you want to be the operator who turns a liability back into an asset while everyone else is crying over spilled milk, then you need to pay attention. You need to subscribe to a different mindset. We don't hope for harvest here. We guarantee them. Still here? Good. Let's get to work. Let's talk about what is actually happening in that tray. Because this isn't magic. I don't believe in magic. I believe in leverage. And to leverage a solution, you have to understand the problem. You see that bottle of hydrogen peroxide? The brown bottle you use for cuts and scrapes? That is your weapon. But you need to understand why it works, or you're going to mess this up. Hydrogen peroxide is chemically written as H2O2. Think about that. Water is H2O. Peroxide is just water with an extra oxygen molecule tacked onto it. Now, here is the key. That extra oxygen molecule, it is unstable. It hates being attached. It is desperate to break free. It is looking for a fight. It wants to react with something, anything, so it can release that energy and turn back into plain, boring water. This is where the magic happens, or rather, the science. Mold is an anaerobic opportunist. It thrives in stagnant, damp, low-oxygen environments. Mold hates oxygen. It can't handle oxidative stress. When that peroxide hits that gray fuzz, that unstable oxygen molecule detaches. It attacks. That fizzing sound you hear when you pour peroxide on a cut, that isn't just a sound effect. That is the sound of a violent chemical reaction on a microscopic level. It is an oxidation bomb going off. It is literally ripping the cell walls of the mold apart. It is burning the enemy alive at a cellular level. Now, I know what you're thinking. But won't that burn my plants too? Won't I kill the microgreens I'm trying to save? This is why this specific vector of attack is so brilliant. It's a surgical strike. The cell walls of your microgreens, your radishes, your peas, your sunflowers, they are tough. They are built with cellulose. They are fortified. They can withstand a massive amount of oxidative stress. They are designed to live in the rain and the wind. But the mold, its cell walls are weak, they are primitive, they have zero defense against this kind of assault. So when we flood that tray, we are creating a condition where the strong survive and the weak perish. It is distinct, targeted destruction. We are not just cleaning the tray, we are nuking the landscape. I need you to get comfortable with this idea. This is the clean slate philosophy. People get scared. They say, but doesn't peroxide kill the good bacteria too? Doesn't it kill the beneficial microbes? Yes, it does. It kills everything it touches. And that is exactly what we want. Right now, your tray is a war zone lost to the enemy. You don't need a peace treaty, you need a forest fire. You need to burn out the dead wood, the rot, and the infection, so that the healthy life can recolonize. You are hitting the reset button. You are wiping the hard drive. Think of it like this. If you have a gangrene infection in your leg, you don't worry about the good bacteria on your skin. You worry about the infection that is trying to kill you. You sterilize the wound. That is what we are doing. We are sterilizing the wound so your profits can survive. In a few minutes, I'm going to give you the exact ratio, the protocol to mix this up. Because if you get the ratio wrong, you go from surgical strike to carpet bombing, and you will kill your plants. But if you get it right, you'll see that fizz. You'll smell that sharp, clean ozone scent cutting right through the musty rot. It smells like a thunderstorm. It smells like victory. And that slime, it's going to dry up and flake away. So, are you ready to stop being a victim of mold and start being the master of your environment? Let's mix this solution. Before we open that bottle, before we mix a single drop of chemistry, we have to stop. We have to make sure you aren't about to murder a healthy crop. Because here is the brutal truth. 90%, yes, 90% of the mold photos I get sent by panicked beginners aren't mold at all. They are throwing away perfectly healthy, vibrant trays because they don't understand basic plant anatomy. They see white fuzz, they panic, and they dump the tray. That isn't gardening, that is burning money. That is taking a performing asset and treating it like toxic waste. So, put the sprayer down. Take a breath. We need to perform a diagnosis. We need to determine if you are looking at a killer, or if you are looking at the plant simply trying to drink. We are talking about root hairs. When microgreens are thirsty, specifically radishes, broccoli, and sunflowers, they send out these microscopic white fuzzy filaments from the root. They are desperate for water. They look exactly like white fuzz. To the untrained eye, they look terrifying. They look like infection. But they are actually a sign of life. They are the plant reaching out, begging for resources. If you spray peroxide on root hairs, you are burning the delicate lungs of your plant. You are punishing it for trying to survive. So, how do you tell the difference between the good guys and the bad guys? How do you distinguish a hungry root from a predatory fungus like Pythium or cobweb mold? We use the water test. This is the simplest, most effective diagnostic tool in your arsenal. You don't need a microscope. You just need a spray bottle filled with plain, boring tap water. Here is the protocol. Take your spray bottle and mist the infected area. Don't drown it, just a heavy mist. Now, watch closely. This is the moment of truth. If that white fuzz immediately collapses, if it mats down against the stem and disappears into a sleek, wet surface, congratulations. You were wrong. That was root hair. It absorbed the water instantly. It vanished because it did its job. It drank the water. You don't have a mold problem. You have a thirsty plant. You were seconds away from killing a healthy crop. Crisis averted. But if you spray that fuzz and the water beads up, if the white structure laughs at the water, if it stays fluffy, rigid, and defiant, if it looks like a chaotic spiderweb that refuses to collapse, then you have a problem. Mold is a structure. It is a physical entity with a web-like defense system. It doesn't want your water. It wants to consume the plant matter. It repels the mist. It stands its ground. If the fuzz stays fuzzy when wet, that is the enemy. That is the vector of disease. But we need a second confirmation. We need to be absolutely sure before we go nuclear. We need to use your senses, specifically your nose. I want you to get your face right in there. Don't be shy. Get down to soil level and inhale deeply. Close your eyes and focus on the data your nose is sending you. Healthy root hairs, even when there are millions of them, smell like life. They smell like spicy radish, or fresh-cut grass, or clean rain. It is a sharp, crisp, vegetal smell. It smells like a salad. Mold does not smell like salad. Mold smells like damp cardboard. It smells like your grandmother's basement after a flood. It smells musty, heavy, and stagnant. It triggers a primal rejection in your brain. If you spray it and it stays fluffy, and you smell that heavy, musty basement funk, then the diagnosis is confirmed. This is not a drill. The enemy is inside the perimeter. We have identified the threat. We have ruled out the false positives. Now, and only now, are we authorized to execute the treatment protocol. Grab the peroxide. It's time to go to war. We have identified the threat. The diagnosis is confirmed. Now, we mix the solution. This is the moment where most people fail. They get lazy. They eyeball it. They think, a splash of this, a splash of that. And that is exactly how you turn a rescue mission into a massacre. We are looking for the Goldilocks ratio. If you mix this too weak, you are just watering the mold. You are literally feeding the enemy. But if you mix it too strong, you oxidize the plant tissue. You burn the crop. You kill the patient to cure the disease. We need to be surgical. Here is the protocol. Write this down. Do not guess. You need standard drugstore variety 3% hydrogen peroxide, the stuff that costs $1, and you need a clean quart jar. Fill the jar with water. Now, add exactly 3 tablespoons of 3% hydrogen peroxide. 3 tablespoons per quart. Why this specific ratio? Because at 2 tablespoons, the reaction is too slow for established mold colonies. The mycelium can withstand it. But at 4 tablespoons, you risk damaging the delicate cell walls of your radish or broccoli. 3 tablespoons is the kill zone. It is maximum lethality for the fungus, with maximum safety for your asset. Give it a gentle swirl. You are holding liquid leverage. Now, we apply. And listen to me closely. This is not a misting. We are not spritzing the leaves for a spa day. This is a drench. Take your sprayer, set it to a heavy stream or a coarse soak, and saturate the infected area. You want to penetrate the canopy. You want this solution to hit the soil level where the spores are hiding. You need to flood the vector of infection. And then, you wait for the event. Lean in. I want you to listen. Do you hear that? It starts as a whisper, then it turns into a snap, crackle, and pop. That fizz, that isn't just bubbles. That is the sound of oxidation. That is the sound of the enemy dying. That is the violent destruction of the mold's cellular structure. It is the sound of your profits being saved. And then comes the visual. You are going to see white foam starting to rise up the stems. It climbs up from the soil like a miniature tide. It looks terrifying. It looks like a science experiment gone wrong. It looks like you've just poisoned your food. Relax. Breathe. That foam is simply oxygen being released. It's scouring the stems clean. It is nature cleaning house. And notice the smell? That heavy, damp basement stench? It's gone. Replaced instantly by the sharp, metallic, clean smell of ozone and rain. You can literally smell the sanitation happening. Most people don't have the stomach for this part. They see the foam, they hear the sizzle, and they panic. They think they've ruined it. They wash it off too early. They retreat. But you know the science now. You aren't panicking. You are observing. You are watching your investment protect itself. You understand that this violence is necessary for survival. If you are the kind of person who finds value in saving your cash instead of burning it, if you are the kind of operator who executes the protocol when things get ugly, then check your subscription status right now. We are building a tribe of growers here who refuse to lose. We don't accept bad luck. We engineer our own luck. Don't be left on the outside throwing away good trays. Let the foam work. Let it sizzle. In the next part, we enter the danger zone, the critical recovery window where the mold tries to strike back. We have executed the protocol. The foam has settled. The sizzle has stopped. You put the lights out and you went to bed. Now, we enter the most psychological part of this entire process. We enter the danger zone. It is hour 24. You walk back into the grow room. The air feels different, cleaner, sharper, less heavy. You look at your tray, expecting a miracle. You expect to see them standing tall and perfect. But you don't. They look sad. They look tired. Some of them might be leaning over. The leaves might look a little dull. And your heart sinks. You think, I killed them. The mixture was too strong. I burned my asset. Listen to me. Do not panic. What you are looking at is the biological equivalent of a hangover. Your plants just went through chemotherapy. We literally irradiated their environment with oxygen to kill a cancer. They are in shock. They are exhausted. they are processing the stress. This is the moment where the amateur kills the crop with kindness. Your instinct screams at you to water them. You want to nurture them. You think they look thirsty. Do not water them. If you add water now, you are recreating the exact swamp conditions that invited the enemy in the first place. The soil is still wet from the peroxide drench. The roots are wet. If you water now, you suffocate them. You turn a recovery ward into a morgue. Step back. Keep your hands in your pockets. Instead, we need to address the root cause. We killed the mold, yes, but we haven't fixed the crime scene. Mold is not a random accident. It is a symptom of an environmental failure. It appeared because your air was stagnant. It appeared because the humidity was too high. It appeared because you created a luxury resort for fungus. So, while the plants recover, we change the weather. We are going to starve the remaining spores. Crank your fans up. I want to see those microgreens dancing. I want to see them vibrating in the wind. If the air is still, the mold returns. We need to turn that room into a wind tunnel. Check your dehumidifier. Drop it by 10%. We need to dry the air out. We need to make the atmosphere hostile to the invader. We want the air to feel crisp, dry, and moving. We are stripping away the moisture that the mold needs to breathe. If you skip this step, if you just spray the peroxide and walk away, the mold will come back. And it will come back with a vengeance in 12 hours. It will regroup, and it will be faster this time. You have to hold the line. Now, we wait. We let the airflow do the work. We let the soil dry out. Fast forward to hour 48. This is the ghost check. The plants should be standing up now. They are resilient. They have shaken off the shock. The green is coming back. But look closely. Get your eyes right down to the soil level again. Scan the perimeter. Mold is stubborn. Sometimes deep in the corner of the tray, or right in the center where the airflow is weakest, you will see a tiny, faint patch of white fuzz, a ghost of the infection. It's trying to re-establish a beachhead. It's weak, but it's there. This is the last stand. Do not ignore it. Do not say, oh, it's just a little bit. You spot, treat it immediately. Grab that spray bottle. One spray, direct hit, sizzle. No mercy. You stamp it out before it can take a single breath. You remind the infection that this tray is occupied territory. By catching this ghost resurgence now, you are breaking the cycle completely. You are clearing the path for the final stretch. The hard part is over. The war is won. Now, we just have to bring them home for the harvest. Welcome to hour 72. Take a deep breath. Do you smell that? Gone is that heavy, dank basement stench that filled this room 3 days ago. Gone is the smell of rot and failure. It's been replaced by the smell of chlorophyll. It smells green. It smells like life. Walk over to the tray. 3 days ago, you were standing in this exact spot, holding a trash bag, ready to throw this into the dumpster. You looked at that gray, fuzzy, slimy mess, and you saw garbage. You saw a liability. But look at it now. It's standing tall. The stems are straight. The leaves are open, reaching for the light. The canopy is dense and uniform. Grab your scissors. I want you to listen to this. This is the most satisfying sound in the world for a grower. Snip. Did you hear that? That crunch? That crisp, sharp snap as the blade cuts through the stem? That is the sound of turgidity. That is the sound of water pressure inside a healthy cell wall. You can't fake that sound. Slime doesn't crunch. Rot doesn't snap. Only a healthy, thriving asset makes that sound. You didn't just clean this tray. You resurrected it. You turned garbage back into food. But I know there is one question still nagging at the back of your mind. You're looking at that beautiful pile of greens and thinking, is it safe? Did I just marinate my salad in chemicals? Am I about to poison my customers or my family? Let me put your mind at ease with cold, hard chemistry. Hydrogen peroxide is volatile. That's a fancy way of saying it doesn't want to exist. Remember the fizz? That was the peroxide breaking down. It degrades rapidly into two things, and two things only: water and oxygen. That's it. By the time you reach hour 72, that solution is long gone. It has evaporated or turned into plain water. There is zero chemical residue. There is no poison. In fact, because you sterilized the environment, these greens are cleaner than the bagged stuff you buy at the grocery store that's been sneezed on by 3 distinct strangers. It is pure. It is safe. It is ready to sell. And, speaking of selling, let's talk numbers. Let's talk about why we are actually here. Because we aren't just gardening for our health. We are building financial freedom. Let's look at the profit and loss statement for this specific rescue mission. I want you to really process this math. The amount of peroxide we used in that spray bottle, it was about 3 tablespoons. Based on the price of a generic bottle at the dollar store, that liquid cost you approximately 4 cents. $0.04. That was your investment in the protocol. Now, look at the tray. That is a full 1,020 tray of speckled peas or Rambo radish. At market price, conservatively, that tray is worth $25. You spent 4 cents to save $25. Do the math on that return on investment. That is an ROI of over 0%. Think about that. You cannot get that return on Wall Street. You cannot get that return in crypto. You certainly can't get that return in real estate. The banks can't give you that. This is why we grow lazy. This is why we work smart. An amateur sees a moldy tray, panics, throws it away, and loses $25. They eat the loss. They let the liability win. But you spent 4 pennies and 3 days of patience, and you kept the profit. You protected the asset. That is the difference between a hobbyist who loses money and an operator who prints it. You didn't just save a plant. You saved your margin. And in this game, margin is everything. Let's be real for a second before you go. I know how it feels to see that mold. I know that sinking feeling in your gut. You look at that fuzz and you think, I messed up. I'm not good at this. Maybe I should just stick to buying lettuce at the store. Stop that narrative right now. Kill that voice. Mold isn't a sign that you're a bad gardener. It isn't a moral failing. It's a sign that nature is doing what nature does. It's trying to eat your lunch. It's trying to reclaim the energy you concentrated in that tray. The universe is chaotic. Entropy is real. The difference between a hobbyist and a professional operator isn't that the pro never gets mold. We all get mold. Every single commercial farm battles it. The difference is that the hobbyist sees mold and quits. The operator sees mold, identifies the enemy, and fights back. The operator has a protocol. And now, so do you. You have the weapon. You have the knowledge. You are no longer defenseless. So, here is your mission. I don't want you to just watch this video, nod your head, and go back to scrolling on your phone. I want you to get up, go to your grow space, right now. Check your trays. Get down there and look at the soil line. If you see that fuzz, don't panic, don't freeze. Execute the protocol, mix the solution, listen for the sizzle. Save the asset. And one more thing. We are building a tribe here. There are thousands of beginners out there right now who are throwing away perfectly healthy trays of food because they think root hairs are mold. They are burning cash because they don't know the water test. Don't let them do it. If you have a friend who is struggling, or if you're in a gardening group where people are panicking, send them this video. Save them from their own ignorance. Be the person who hands them the weapon. But we have to be realistic. This peroxide trick, it's a miracle for surface mold. It saves the canopy. But what happens if the mold is already inside the soil before you even plant the seed? What if the enemy is hiding in the dirt, waiting to rot your seeds from the inside out? Peroxide won't save you there. You can't spray what you can't see. You need a different weapon. You need to sterilize the earth itself. Welcome to the rescue club. I'll see you in the comments.